Welcome, everybody. Thanks, everyone, for coming this evening. I'll be pinch hitting for His Worship this evening. I'm Deputy Mayor Alana Yankoff, so again, welcome. I'm also the Chair of Planning and Heritage, so I'd like to, first of all, just acknowledge that that we are on the traditional and unceded territory of our Mi'kmaq people. And I'd also like to mention that tonight's public meeting, we're here tonight to hear the comments, questions, concerns of all the folks that are here to hear these two applications that we have here with us this evening. We have Manager David Gundrum online this evening, as well as Councillor Bob Duran. And so let me see what else I need to tell you. This meeting will be live streamed and recorded. And I want to welcome the folks that are here from City Council. We've got Councillor Julie McCabe, Councillor Trevor McKinnon, Councillor Dustin Matart, Councillor Norman Beck, Councillor Mitchell Tweel, and Councillor Kevin Ramsey. And as I mentioned, Councillor Duran is online. And Councillor Bernard has sent his regrets, and I'm not sure about Councillor McAleer, but we'll see whether or not he is able to attend or not. So normally this is when the mayor would call upon me to explain what's happening, so that's me. I'm just going to let everyone know that the process this evening, there'll be a brief presentation by staff and the applicants. After the presentation, the general public will be given an opportunity to speak. Anyone that wants to speak can come up to the mic, and you have 5 minutes to provide comments or to ask questions. We'll start obviously with the members here in public, and then we'll go to anyone that is joining us online. And then from there, council members will be allowed to ask questions of clarity, remembering not to give their opinion on the project as we are to remain neutral until the process is completed. Asking obviously for respect and decorum when folks are speaking. And written submissions to the Planning and Heritage Department after this evening's meeting will be continue to be accepted until Friday, October the 2nd at noon. And other than that, I can now call the meeting to order, and I'll ask if there's any declarations of conflicts. Seeing none, can I have an approval of the agenda? Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. All those in favor? Councillor Duran?
In favor.
Thank you. And so now we'll move right on to our presentations. And I believe Laurel Palmer will be presenting the first application. So over to you.
Good evening, Madam Deputy, members of council, ladies and gentlemen of the public. This is a request to proceed to public consultation to rezone property on Birchwood Street, PID number 363515, from low-density residential R2 to institutional I, and to amend Appendix A of the official plan map for PID number 363515 from low-density residential to institutional. And this is the subject property highlighted in blue. The purpose of the request is the government of Prince Edward Island has requested to rezone the property to allow for a mobile classroom to be placed on site. The mobile classroom will provide additional classroom space at this location, and it is proposed to be placed over the common property boundary with Birchwood School, and therefore requires the lots to be consolidated if the rezoning is approved. So this is the subject property, this is Birchwood School. The classroom will straddle that boundary. It's a closer look at the two properties with the R2 zoning and institutional, and the classroom will be approximately here. So the property is bounded to the north by low-density residential housing consisting of R2 zone lands, right here. To the east by institutional zone land occupied by a local cemetery, and R3 zone land occupied by multi-unit housing. So the cemetery and the multi-unit housing. To the south with Birchwood School zoned institutional and Longworth Avenue, so Birchwood and then Longworth. And to the west with Birchwood Street and low-density housing consisting of R2 zoning on the west side of Birchwood Street. So we're having some issues here. Birchwood Street and then low-density housing. So the property is currently zoned R2, low-density residential. It is occupied by a parking lot for the school and open space recreational space. The property is separated from adjoining residential development with a tree line and fencing, and you can see that right along here. It is located within a mature neighborhood and is within walkable distance for many of the students that live in this area of the city. The total area of the lot proposed to be rezoned is 0.402 of an acre. So in the zoning and development bylaw, there are requirements for amendments to the bylaw and rezonings. So 3.10.3, before amending the regulations of this bylaw or rezoning any parcel of land, council shall conduct a public meeting to receive the views and opinions of the public and the applicant. Council may, for reasons that are in the best interests of the city, reject a proposed amendment to this bylaw without public notice and without referral to a public meeting. So this application did go before planning board and council, and they felt that the application had merit to proceed to public consultation, and that is why we're here tonight. So, in accordance with Section 3.10, amendments to the bylaw and rezonings of the zoning and development bylaw, on September 15th, 2025, notice of the public meeting was circulated to 32 surrounding property owners within 100 meters of the subject property to advise them of the public meeting and request comments on the proposed rezoning application. To date, we have not received written responses prior to this public meeting. So there are policies in the official plan which support the needs of the city's public educational institutions, and that's Section 5.4, meeting educational needs. Our objective is to establish regular dialogue with representatives of the business community, the provincial government, the University of Prince Edward Island, Holland College, the Eastern School District, privately operated educational facilities in order to keep abreast of their needs and to seek mutually beneficial resolution of issues. To keep abreast of their need, our policy shall be to meet with representatives of the province and the city's educational institutions on a regular basis to address and seek mutual resolution to any outstanding issues. And our objective is to work with representatives of Charlottetown's educational institutions to ensure that their present and future physical space and land use requirements are factored into the city's planning processes. Our policy shall be to encourage representatives of the city's educational institutions to advise the planning board of their physical space and land use requirements, and where warranted, to ensure the municipality's planning tools take account of these needs. Our policy shall be to designate sufficient additional land on the future land use map to meet the anticipated needs of the city's public educational institutions over a 10-year planning horizon. And that concludes my presentation. The province was not available this evening to attend, but they did. I did have a conversation with them on the application. So if there is any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you for your presentation. Anyone here looking for, to speak to this application? Any questions? Seeing none, any counselors wish to ask, Counselor Twill?
Before the horse in terms of what's there now. And you probably tried to explain it the first time round. Could you try one more time so I can understand it from a layman's perspective? And if it's already there, is the process futile in terms of going through the motions now?
Yes, Counselor Tweel through the deputy. I guess you are right. The building is currently in place. What happened, the province came in and they applied for a building permit to locate this mobile classroom on site. And in the process of that, I was looking at the application and I determined that there was two parcels and both parcels were zoned with different zones. So if you go back to, can you pull the slideshow up, please, Melissa? So if you see this application, this is the parcel that they've applied to rezone, which is R2, and then we have the parcel that the school's located on. When they came in with their application, we determined that this was actually a different zone. They were not aware that they had two different zones because they have been, I'm just going to flip to that picture. If you see, this property has been used by the school for a number of years as school lands. So they assumed that it was all institutional. There's basketball courts that are located on that property, the parking and additional recreational lands behind. So they were advised to apply for the rezoning application. Staff were not aware that the building was located prior to this application being finalized. So we are aware now, because we did do a site visit. It was brought to our attention. So essentially, this process will rectify that, and they will have to be approved for the building permit.
Yep, go ahead, Councillor Tweel.
What exactly is the building utilized for? And in terms of longevity, how long do they anticipate that building being there?
Yes, through the deputy. I can't answer those questions. Those are questions that would have to be answered by the public school board. That is information that has not been made aware to staff. And I did have that conversation also with the applicants through the government, and they're not the public school board, so they weren't able to answer that information either.
Any other questions? Councillor Duran?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other questions, we can move on to our next item on the agenda. And I believe Michael Fraser will be presenting for us. Thank you.
Did she take the clicker? The clicker just ran off, so it'll just be a second. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Planner 3 has sticky fingers.
Minor theft. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm Michael Fraser, and I'll be presenting the application 66 McGill Avenue, PID 355057, which is a rezoning request from the current zoning of R1S to R3T. The Planning and Heritage Department has received a request at 66 McGill Avenue to amend Appendix A, future land use map of the City of Charlottetown's official plan from low-density residential to medium-density residential, and amend Appendix G of the zoning map of the City of Charlottetown zoning and development bylaw from single detached residential, R1S, to medium density residential townhouse, R3T. The subject property is located inset from the corner of McGill Avenue and North River Road within a single detached residential zone, currently containing a single-family dwelling that has been altered to be used as 2 units. The surrounding properties consist primarily of low-density R1S, R1L, and R2 zones, though R4 and institutional zones exist in the proximity, the close proximity to the parcel. There we go. As seen in the proposed site plan, the proposed development will largely maintain the existing building's footprint and exterior elevations, with some window and door locations changing. A bylaw compliant accessory building is planned to be added as part of the proposed parking solution, and a parking pad is also planned. Why is it not doing the highlight? Oh, there we go. So there's the garage, and up there is that parking pad. As per section 3.10.3 of the zoning and development bylaw, before rezoning any parcel of land, council shall conduct a public meeting to receive the views and opinions of the public and the applicant. Council may, for reasons that are in the best interest of the city, reject a proposed rezoning without public notice and without referral to a public meeting. But if the application goes to a public meeting, then council shall determine the disposition of the application, and the applicant may not be allowed to withdraw the application after public meeting. Subject to those requirements, on August 12th, 2025, I think that date's wrong. I think it's September. I can confirm that. City Council approved a request to proceed to public consultation. As per section 310.4 of the zoning and development bylaw, a mailed notification letter was sent to all owners within 100 meters, 328 feet, a minimum 7 calendar days prior to the hearing date of October 1st, 2025. A total of 50 letters were sent to residents advising them of the meeting to solicit their comments and feedback. To date, a total of 5 written responses have been received from local residents, with all being in opposition. Okay, one more slide. The tentative next steps, if it was to proceed past this meeting, on October 9th, we would bring it to planning board for a recommendation, and council resolutions would be on October 14th. Based on whether or not this meeting leads to us proceeding in that direction. We do have the applicant, the consultant for the applicant here today, Monica, if we want to proceed to the next presentation.
Thank you, Michael. And yes, Monica, you come on up. Do you,
Do you want me here?
yeah, probably there.
Okay. There you go. No sticky fingers this time.
Great.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. So my name is Monica Jelks. I work with Sable Arc Studios, which is an architectural firm in town, and we've been hired on behalf of the client to present this application and do all of the design work for the project. So I'm just going to give a kind of a quick rundown on the owner's plans and what they intend to do, and then happy to take questions and clarifications after that. So this, again, 66 McGill Avenue, which you're all aware of. This house has been in single-family ownership in its entirety. It was built approximately in the 1940s. We're just not sure of the exact date. And a second-floor unit was added approximately in the 1960s. Again, not too sure on that date, but that's when the use would have been changed at that time to add that second unit. In the existing layout, the second floor is a standalone unit with a separate entrance off the street front. The main floor unit, half of the floor footprint is currently occupied. The other half is currently used for storage as it's currently unlivable. And the basement is also used for storage, also currently unlivable. And so here are some photos of the existing condition of the property, and as you can see, it's in quite a disrepair. The roof has not yet been repaired since Fiona. The siding is rotting in a few places and missing in a few others, and many of the soffits and the venting for the soffits has fallen off. These are some photographs of the interior. So the top left is that main floor space that is currently unoccupied and only used for storage. The ceiling is quite damaged from water and is in dire need of repair. That center photo on the top is a little sun porch on the back that I'll show you in a moment. And then the third photo on the top is the current living area in the unit that is currently occupied. The bottom left photograph is the second floor unit, which would be in the best condition of the entire house, but it's also the smallest footprint. It only occupies that top floor that you see from the front. The last two photos are of the basement, and as you can see, it's mostly used for storage and utilities, and it's unfinished at the moment. So the rezoning request is to change from R1S to R3T, and we did apply for R3T specifically to eliminate the possibility of an apartment building, just knowing that the neighborhood is very family-oriented, very single-family home, and that if by chance the property happened to get sold in the future, which is not the intent of the owners, that it kind of takes the apartment building off the table. The intent is to use the house as a converted dwelling with 3 units, one on the main floor, one on the second floor, and one in the basement. So I'm showing 3 phases here, and I just want to clarify that Phase 1 and Phase 3 are not contingent on this application. They're kind of just for context and showing you what the owner's plans are for the building and fixing up kind of this eyesore in the community. Phase 2 is really what this application is looking towards, and that is fixing up the basement unit to be used as a long-term rental unit. So this is the Phase 1 site plan. There's currently 2 existing driveways on the property. Both are sometimes used as parking. One of them goes around to the back. This is a walkout basement situation in the backyard, and the other is used on the front. Is this the, yes. So one area here for parking, and then the other driveway that comes along the back down the hill, and then parking area for the other 2 units in the back there. These are the building elevations that we have planned for the new design. The footprint of the building is not changing. The only thing that we're doing to the exterior, we're adding a little bay window on the front, and then we're converting that sun porch that I showed you earlier into just a covered open porch on the back. The building will have all new siding, all new roofing, all new windows, all new doors, and all new decking. Here are some before and after renderings, keeping in mind that these renderings were done at the very preliminary stages of our design. It's very close to what we're proposing now, but just some minor tweaks there in terms of the style of the windows and the roofing. So before and after on the front, before and after from the other side of the front. This is that second parking pad in the front. And then from the back. So opening up the basement a lot with the windows, and then again, converting that sun porch right here into a much nicer covered deck in the back. So Phase 2 is really what we're looking at here, and that's converting the basement into a long-term rental unit. We're proposing 2 bedrooms, and then all of the living, dining, eating areas, 1 washroom, and a little laundry area in the back. And then Phase 3, as Michael mentioned, is a standalone two-car garage that may or may not be added in the future in the back here. The owner would just like to have that in the plans in case they do plan to go ahead with that in the future. I think that's my last slide.
Thank you for that. I'll just open it up now to the public, if there's anyone that would like to speak. And just when you come up, just if you could state your name for the record, and make sure that mic is on, because we'll just we're live streaming and also recording the meeting. So anyone that wants to come up and make any comment, ask questions.
Mic on? Yes? She's nodding. I'll take that as a good sign. My name's Ann Gillis. I live at 71 Greenfield Avenue, which is, I did receive a letter of notice, so I am within, I guess, the 100-meter requirement. Few comments. Current zoning and use, the property in question is zoned currently as single residential, I guess 1S. Over the past number of years, there have been changes to the property in that there appear to be 2 units, which we've heard confirmed. The request for a 3-unit structure, to the best of our knowledge, there was no request to change the use of the house from a single unit to 2 units. So I believe currently it's not respected the current zoning law. The house, as acknowledged in the previous comments, is in serious disrepair. The blue tarp that's been on, and confirmation that it's been on since Fiona, is still on the house. That's now 3 years, and the property has continued to seemingly fall into disrepair. I believe it's not in the best interests of our neighborhood. It is a residential area primarily. The neighborhood bounded by McGill, Greenfield, Highland, Ambrose is all significantly single-family homes. The request to change is inconsistent with trying to maintain a good neighborhood of family homes. Traffic is a huge issue. I can't define or express how much of an issue between Greenfield Avenue, North River Road, and McGill Avenue. If I had a loony for every stop sign, jumping, and you can confirm that probably with the city police, over the time that I've lived there, which is about 16 years in this particular house, I'd be wealthy today. North River Road and McGill, Greenfield and McGill, stop sign, jumping, just drop over tomorrow and watch for an hour. It's a massive issue. This house is located one house in from North River, one house in from Greenfield. Across the street is Canada Post mailbox, a 3-unit, so 16 boxes times 3 has a capacity of 48 cars, people visiting. It's across the street from the entrance to the Mona Wilson building, which Monday to Saturday, Sunday, I guess, has traffic regularly, constantly. Our backyard goes on to the Mona Wilson building, so we get to observe this frequently, regularly, of the amount of traffic that's there. So traffic is a huge issue. To add an additional unit to this property, I believe, is inviting one more safety issue, whether it's a pedestrian traffic person or another car that comes out of that property. Erosion of the neighborhood is a major issue for me and for many of our neighbors. Airbnb issue, I won't get into it, but within my front door, there's about within about 400 meters of my front door, there are 4 Airbnbs grandfathered by the not going further with limiting Airbnb. So the erosion of the neighborhood, that this city prides itself of this neighborhood, can, to me, erodes the residential family nature of what the neighborhood used to be and is bit by bit eroding. In researching this request, we've become aware, we think that the house next door at 68 McGill is now also a 2-unit building, and I don't know if formal approval was ever received for that adjustment. Close to Greenfield and McGill, yeah. So as far as I know, that's a non-conforming, however the language is. So I have traffic, erosion of the neighborhood, and just, if we're trying to protect these neighborhoods, we have to protect these neighborhoods. This house is zoned as single residential, so to jump to a 3-unit, I believe, is not in the interests of the city, of the neighborhood, perhaps of the owners, whatever. So thanks for my 3 seconds left.
Thank you.
Like that.
Thank you very much. Michael, are you able to, when the deliberation's being done, are you able to confirm whether or not this property ever did get a permitted use for that second unit? I think that was one of the questions that she had, and that way we would know whether or not it was already up to conformity for the existing 2, as they're just asking for a third.
Yeah, I'll kind of talk about the scope of what we can see on file. So we never seen any kind of approval for that unit. I will say that if you look at Google Maps, there has been an alteration to the front of the property sometime between the I want to say it's 2013 drive-by and the 2022 drive-by, where a second front door was added. If it was, as Monica mentioned, if it was something pre-existing from the 60s, that would have been pre-bylaw, and we wouldn't have any record of that in general. But in terms of what's on file, we have no record of that being like legalized. It could be something called a legal non-conforming use, but we have no record, and we haven't done. Like, say, for example, we haven't looked into like energy bills or anything along that line to see if there's any separation there. So like I said, kind of the applicants are indicating 1960s, and we see a front door change sometime between 2013 and 2022.
Thank you for that. Questions, more questions from anybody? Good evening, Brian.
Good evening. My name is Brian Gillis. I also am a resident of Greenfield Avenue within the notification zone. I'll start with just a couple of quick questions. Is this going to be owner occupied?
In terms of what we know on file, we don't ask for that information, but I can defer to Monica if that's okay.
Yes, so the plan is the main floor in the short term will be a long-term rental. The second floor and the basement units will be long-term rentals.
So it's a rent property,
But eventually, the family is planning on moving back into the house on the main floor.
but no commitment to that.
I don't know if they have a timeline. I'm not aware of that.
Second question, has there been any analysis of how the drainage off of this lot would reflect on all of the properties that sit lower than this? When you intensify the use, pave the backyard,
So
where's
the
the water
backyard
going?
won't be paved, it will be gravel, which will significantly help with the drainage.
Is it a requirement by the bylaw to be paved? No? So you've done a drainage analysis?
We have not done a drainage analysis because it's not required.
Okay. The questions I have relate to Brighton as a neighborhood. And if you use the real estate analogy of location, 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 Brighton is one of the most desirable neighborhoods in Charlottetown. It has trees, classic homes, and significant history. In the 1870s, this was the first suburb for Charlottetown when we sort of moved out of the 500 lot area. In that area, there's legacy of prominent architectural homes designed by the likes of William Critchlow Harris, Bones Blanchard, the Chapel and Hunter architects. The planning principles for neighborhoods encourages a walkable neighborhood. This Brighton neighborhood qualifies on all fronts. You can walk to the downtown. There are 4 schools that are serviced by this area, and schools service families. Families are the core building block of communities. And to discourage the quality and the context of single-family residential zoning by imposing a 3-unit, and look at the pictures. I can do a rendering and turn a pretty dastardly looking building into something that looks pretty. But we have no guarantee that this is going to be anything other than a low rent rental project. The neighborhood has had significant investment in single-family residential homes over the last 20 years. I think Councillor Tweel, you sat on council when APM developed the Brighton Commons development, which converted a piece of land that the province wanted to dispose of, and we undertook to develop a single-family residential neighborhood with the desired objective of reflecting the character and the natural amenities of that neighborhood. Today, there are 19 single-family homes that are built in that area. And I would ask the staff to go in and present to council the assessed value of what those homes mean to the tax base for the city of Charlottetown. And I would say that the market value is in excess of $15 million. I enjoy sitting on my veranda and watching children walk to school. I've watched neighbors who I observed when I lived in the area 40 years ago now have their children buy homes in that neighborhood, and I'm seeing their children walk to school. The city has invested in a tremendous asset for the Simmons Arena. We have wonderful playfields. I understand we're going to have a new artificial turf field in the neighborhood. And those are for families and for the amenities that are already there in Brighton. I oppose this. I feel that this would be a tremendous disrespect for the neighbors who live there. And I could go on and give many more examples, which will be in my written submission, indicating this is poor planning, poor stewardship by the city if you allow this to take place, and doesn't really even make sense from an investment strategy. The highest end use for this property is as a single-family home with a secondary dwelling unit. And I think that would reflect well if somebody would think about that. And I can go through the numbers, how the difference would affect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Anybody else wanted to, oh, come right up. Just don't forget to state your name. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Allison McDougall. I am a property owner of 55 Greenfield. So I am, the property in question is in my backyard. So one of the questions that I have after hearing what is being proposed is having a parking area, I'll call it a parking lot in the backyard, that is not going to be paved. I'm hearing it's going to be gravel. It's currently not used for parking. And it has not been used for parking. It has been used for storing derelict vehicles on and off over the years, but not moving vehicles. What is going to be the impact to my property and other adjacent properties when the snow needs to be removed? How is it going to be removed if it is gravel? Blowers, are we going to have rocks that are now going to be flying at our house? We are not very far from the backyard, so that is a concern of mine. Also, the snow against my property. I will admit, I do have a history with this property. It has been in a state of disrepair for the last 19 years that I have lived at the adjacent property. I was involved in having the city come in and do a cleanup of the property a number of years ago because there was a building that was in a state of disrepair. I was concerned about animals living in it and also about the children in the neighborhood going in because it just was not secured. The property itself has a lot of debris in the basement. There are a number of cars that were winched in there a number of years ago, and I would believe they still are in the basement of the property. There has been motors. There was a shed that was erected that then the snow fell in and it stayed like that. We spoke many times to whom we felt was the property owner who told us, oh no, I don't own it and my son owns it, so I don't know, who had it at that point in time. My concern is that we approve it to be rezoned and maybe none of the work really happens. And then we're left with more people in the property and more cars in the backyard and maybe it not looking any better. So as you can hear, this is all about me, but but I do, I love my neighborhood. I understand that as a city, we are looking for ways to have, more higher density for folks to live. But I also want to protect the investment that has been made in this neighborhood. So thank you, I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? You breaking my rules, Brian, and coming back up to the mic?
One question.
Okay.
I would request that the city building inspector visits that property and answers the question whether life safety conditions are being met by having an occupied dwelling rental unit in that property as of today. There's no fire separations, there's no egress. We've seen pictures of the deplorable conditions of it. We've seen pictures of a roof that's leaking, and yet there's somebody paying rent to live there. So I would request that the city live up to its obligation of overseeing property rentals and inspect the property and ascertain whether there should be people staying there. Thank you.
Thank you, and that's duly noted. Yep, thank you. Any other questions? Oh, yes, you go ahead.
A rental, oh, there you go. Thank you. It's not currently a rental property.
Somebody living there?
Somebody is living there, but it is not currently being rented.
Well, I think for life safety reasons, it should be inspected.
Hence the phase one fixing up the building. That's the main priority here.
Doesn't need a rezoning.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly.
Thanks, folks. Yep, that's good. Anybody else? No, if no, I'm going to check with Councillor Duran. Did you want to make any comments? Not putting you on the spot. I just know I can't see you.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll just open it up to the rest of council. Is there anybody that has question, clarity, or anything? Okay, all right. Well, if not, I thank everyone. Our next item, is there any new business? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Twill.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring up under new business, all members of City Council received emails about 40 minutes ago.
Oh, dear. Do
Well,
you
it's
know
under
what?
New business, you can bring something up under new business.
I don't know. I think I might need some help on that one. Councillor Twill, I want you to speak. I just want to make sure I'm not going to get myself in trouble by not chairing this correctly. Does anyone out there in the ether know whether or not Councillor Twill can bring something up under new business? I'm looking at you, Mike, because you're our Jedi here tonight.
Well, with all due respect, Madam Chair,
Yes?
the mayor's brought up a number of items. in previous council meetings. I think there's an urgency here with respect to the emails that we received about an hour ago from 8:30. No, I understand that, but we're talking new business.
So
That's we
let's,
have new business.
so let's just double check with Mike. I just want to make sure that we're in the right platform to do that, so that I'm following the rules right. Give me 2 seconds. Mike, can you
Yep.
share anything with me?
Yep.
I mean, ultimately, for any meeting of council, it's council's discretion if you're all in favor of discussing a topic. But, this is a public meeting intended to hear, public comment on specific planning applications. So, my suggestion would be that we stick to that order of business tonight, and that any new business be brought up that doesn't pertain to planning issues at regular or special meeting of council.
Okay. If that's the case, with respect to process, Councillor Twill, I will ask if we can wait and bring this up at a monthly meeting of council. Unless, like Mike said, if it's the will of the majority of council, then I'll let it proceed, because that's the process. So if it's the will of council that Councillor Twill can continue, then I'll allow it, as long as the rest of you folks are okay with it. So I'll look to my fellow councillors. Are we okay with Councillor Twill proceeding, or would you like to stick with the agenda? Councillor McCabe?
As far as introducing new business, I think if there's something he wants to introduce to be talked about at the next public meeting of planning of council, because to me, again, this is a public venue. If we were sitting at the Charlottetown Hotel, we wouldn't really be doing council business. We'd be in listening to residents come to talk about applications. So if it's a quick point to say that he wants something discussed, I'd be okay, but I'm not interested in a long discussion here this evening off agenda topic.
Okay. Are the rest of councillors okay for Councillor Twill just to introduce something he would like brought up at our next council meeting? I'm looking at everybody's eyes. All right? Go ahead then, Councillor Twill. Remember,
Okay.
no filibustering, though.
Pardon?
No filibustering.
No what?
No filibustering. Just your point. Just your points?
Okay, here's the point. I, like other members of council, have received emails about an hour before this council meeting tonight. And it's regarding process in terms of decisions that are being made with respect to contracting out. So what I'd like, contracting out of water and sewer services, what I would like is on whose authority the contracting out had taken place. This wasn't a council decision to proceed to the contracting out. We all received an email early in the week from our chief administrative officer saying that there's mediation for Thursday and Friday. So we're moving in good faith to mediation with 8:30, yet at the same time, now we have a signal going out that we're going into contracting out and entertaining contracting out with.
Okay.
What is the point here?
The point is,
The point of new business is to make a point, state it quickly, and put it on for a new agenda.
trying to.
This is not a point to go on an elaborate, there's no need of an elaborate background explanation.
Okay.
We need to get to the point in this.
Okay, well, I'm trying my best. So the question becomes, who gave the authority to issue these two tenders? On whose authority?
Okay, thank you for that, and we'll follow up with our CAO and our mayor tomorrow. Thank you for that, Councillor Twill. Motion to adjourn. Okay, thank you and have a good evening.